to build a better business? Yeah, right. Like number one thing, right? We got to do this. What's the point of all the hard work if we don't build a better business? And I want to talk to you about the things that I have learned that the most successful, let's call them design firms, but let's call them businesses, have in common in building a better business. First of all, I'm stealing that line from my other company. We just started a new company, bought a new company, I should say, Exciting Windows. And that's our tagline over at Exciting Windows. Build a better window treatment business. And so it's been getting me thinking, what do we do to build a better business? And what do the common successful business owners do to build a better business, right? And there's three really very clear things. What's interesting is that I have been speaking for 5 or 6 years now on building a better business. And what I know to be true is I keep trying to come up with a different talk for you guys, but I can't. Because there's 3 things you got to do to build a better business. Like, you can't not do one of them, okay? So the first thing that and here's the thing, it's borne out over 700 interviews. It's literally borne out over 700 interviews. I keep thinking there's going to be something different. There's going to be a different, this one does that. This one does. No. The 3 things, okay, that you really must know your mission. You've got to know what the heck are you doing? Why are you doing it? Who are you doing it for? Okay? You're a room of 70, 80 interior designers here. Okay, so we could literally say, I'm a designer. That's what I do. No. See, that's not it. That's not it. That's the way you do it. That's the thing you do. That's the thing you deliver, right? But if you talk to each other, you will find out that what jazzes you about design is going to be different than what jazzes you about design. Right? You know that because you've had the conversations with each other. So what it is getting very clear. And whether you're in business 1 minute or 25 years, it is worth doing this exercise with yourself to figure it out what your mission is and why are you an interior designer. Okay? And like I said, take my word for it or take the word of the 700 plus people that I've interviewed that I know are super successful. And here's a real secret for you about the podcast. I have one requirement of every guest that comes on the show, that they teach us one thing. They teach us one thing. I don't care. Your entire design firm can be a, show in the background. Okay? But if you can do one thing that makes me go, whoa, that's exciting. That's interesting. That's a cool way to hire somebody, to interview somebody, to fire somebody, to look at Instagram marketing, then I don't have the requirement that every single person on my show is profitable. That's the secret. I've never said that out loud in real life, ever. Okay? So what I'm telling you is, in 700 plus interviews, now take the people that I absolutely know are profitable. That's a much smaller amount of people that have been on the show. You know what that's like? That's like you've lined up all the models that have ever been on Cosmopolitan and take all the tape out and all the crap off, and it's like, there's 4 of them that look really fabulous. The rest just look like the rest of us. Okay? So that's the thing. And what I say, if you've ever been on my show, or one day if you might be on my show, what I say to you off air before we start is, look, this is not investigative reporting. I'm not here to figure out what you don't want people to know. I'm here to figure out what you want people to know about your business, that you do well, that you own, okay? And so, because that's how we all learn, right? So what I'm making this point and going down this little tangent because I want you to know, I know the difference of somebody who is running a successful firm and who's not. And these are the 3 things that they do. They know their mission. They have thought about it. They have spent time with it. They've talked to themselves about it. They've walked on long walks on the beach and said, what is my mission? Why am I doing this? What makes me different from everybody else? There's something there. It doesn't have to be big. It does not have to be, I'm the next design star, something or other. right? It's just something that connects you. So let me think about some of the most significant things that I've learned. I remember Tiffany White, the Nappy Bohemian. Anybody remember her show? She told me that on the show, she told us that she started to do wellness design and leaning into the way spaces make you feel and doctor's offices and things. Cheryl Janis was the same way. But the thing was, when Tiffany explained her story to me, she has a little girl. And I don't remember, she said, one day, really dramatic asthma attack, okay? The baby ends up in the hospital. She was probably 2 years old. Ends up in the hospital, ends up having to stay there. I don't remember the details of how that. But here's the thing. A couple years later, you know, she's talking with mothers and the kids, and somebody saying, oh, like that time that you were in the hospital, sweetie, that was probably so crazy. And, you know, Tiffany's like, you know, like in, you know, post PTSD about it. She's like, oh my God, that was the most horrible time of my life. And her little girl is like, Mommy, I remember that. That was so great. Remember the giraffes on the wall and all the nurses and all blah, 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 blah. And the thing was that this particular place that she had to go and be cared for and then go back for the treatments and blah, 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 was an amazing environment. So this little girl, you know, like Tiffany's like, I like was on the teetering watching you. Like, am I going to get through this? Like, you're my baby, right? And this little girl remembers it from a positive way. So the thing is, if you are a commercial designer and you decide, oh, wellness design is really a cool hot topic right now, I'm going to go into wellness design, but you're not attached to it from a passionate place, I'm not listening to you. I'm like, okay, so what do you know about wellness? Oh, well, I know it's really important. Oh, that's awesome, right? But when you tell me, hey, let me tell you how the environment that you get better in, that you recuperate in, that you go for your treatments in affects, let me tell you about my little girl. You know, for 6 months, I'm, you know, praying to every gosh darn thing on the sun, and she's like, she remembers it like, you know, going to Disney. So that's a significant thing. Is she Nate Berkus? Does she, you know, have any line to like, this is my mission, right? It's find something that connects you to what you do. Because there is a reason, because I'm going to tell you what, I don't think it's so easy to be an interior designer. I mean, who here says, walk in the park? Right. I knew it. It's not. It's beyond the complexity that you deal with. You know me. I do window treatments, right? I think window treatments are complex. Like, I want to, like, really? Like, do we have to have 16 rows of trim on every piece of drape? Thank you, sweetie. You're torturing me, okay? However, that's just one thing. You guys are putting the 16 rows of drape, you know, trim on a drape. Then you're doing 16 layers of tile, and then, like, let's have an area rug with another rug on top. Like, the details are beyond. So there is something that gets you up in the morning that makes you come back and keep doing this crazy job, is my point. So tap into it. And here's why. Because not only does it call you out to the ideal client, right? When you connect and you like talk about it, and that's my thing. And they're like, that's her thing, and that's my thing. I love her. That's what happens, right? Okay? But the other thing is depending on where you are in your career, I'm 40 years in business. Let me tell you what. It's like raising kids. More days than not are not so much fun. Like, you know, I mean, you know, they're not all they're cracked up to be kids, and neither is owning a business. It's not for the meek of heart. So what gets you out of bed when it's hard? This past year of COVID, oh my goodness, if you listen to the show, you know who am I. After 40 years at WindowWorks, I thought I was the vice president in charge of sales and marketing. Silly me. That's what I thought I was. No, I'm the CCO at WindowWorks now, the chief complaint officer. That's who I am. Okay? And I will tell you what, we have not, in 40 years, you take the 38 and a half years before COVID, I'm not being funny, and I'm not exaggerating. I promise you, we had more complaints, serious, pissed off, crazy pants, irate customers in the last 15, 18 months than all 38 and a half put together. I mean, I'm talking, you want to, like, I like the hard conversation because it's challenging. It's like a chess game. I'm like, okay, even this crazy lady is done with hard conversation. Like, it has been a real thing, right? You guys are in it with me, right? So if you're not connected to why you're doing this, guess what? You're the ones that got to be connected somehow. Did you identify it? Because the ones that aren't connected, they didn't survive. I always said, never lived through a pandemic before, but I have been through 3 recessions before. And what's so funny is the first recession almost killed us. Literally almost killed us. Almost killed me. Well, killed is a very dramatic word. But just a little bit less than killed me. Almost. Really, truly. Okay? And, I mean, I was like driving up to people's houses, had a 2 o'clock appointment for window treatments, and parking down the block and crying my eyeballs out. Oh my God, I can't do it, I can't do it. And then knocking on the door and doing the, please don't be home, please be home, please don't be home, please don't be home. I need the money, please be home. Oh my God, I can't talk to you now, I'm so depressed. It was nuts. I mean, it was nuts. I always say, you can't sell from need. Okay, you cannot sell from need. And for the year that we were in our very first recession, I was selling from need every day. I needed to make the payroll. It was like, here I am on Tuesday at your house, and I looked at the bank account in the morning because the VIN man had to go get a job because we almost went out of business. I told you that part, right? So he's out working as a vice president of franchise sales at Decorating Dad, and Luann selling, managing, doing all the things, okay? And I'm looking at the checkbook, and I'm like, payroll's $8,000. That's awesome. And I have 2. Okay, great. So here I am, 2 o'clock. Don't be home, please be home. Don't be home, please be home. You can't sell from need. It's not a good look, okay? So what gets you going? And for me, I have to tell you, another secret. Maybe not so much of a secret. I'm not into the pretty. I don't really care. You make beautiful rooms. I expect you to make a beautiful room. I don't really care about it. I don't really care about a beautiful window treatment. I care that we did it right. I care that we made the sale. I care that we made money on the sale. I say all the time, when I met my husband, if he had been selling copiers, I'd be at an IBM conference right now. Take it to the bank. We'd have the best damn copy machine company on the planet, and I'd be talking to a bunch of guys in white shirts, okay? So here's the thing. I am attached. So for me, I'm going to share with you another attachment, right? The mission, the passion. For me, it's about the juice. It's about, can I do this? Can I create this? Can I have a sustainable business? Can I make a profitable? Can I be part of that? Can something that I did be actual impact on that business? You take me out of WindowWorks, would it be the same? If the answer to that is yes, then I have not done my job for 40 years. That means I just showed up. I took up space. Right? So, my passion is business. It is doing it well, doing it better than everybody else, being known for doing it well. So when you think about what is your mission, don't get tied up in knots. The biggest question I hear when you guys come up and talk to me at markets and different things is like, I know that you said I have to have my Fred Burns only, but I don't know what it is. And I'm like, you're looking too big. Look at what gets you up in the morning. Look at why do you do it. Okay? So have some time. Like Nicole Heimer says in the second book that we did, the collaborated book, Power Talk Friday Experts, when she talks about branding. And she's like, pour yourself a glass of wine and have a date with yourself, right? And the thing is, too, it's worth doing it if you have been in business. I don't care if you do it every year. But if you haven't, if you're in business 5, 10, 15, 20, and you haven't done it lately, it's a cool thing to do. And here's the thing. I'm constantly like, do it, and I'm going to take the pressure off you at the same time. If it doesn't come in the first session with the wine, it's okay. It's okay. There's more wine. Do it again another day. Okay? And it comes to you in bits and pieces. Comes to you sometimes in bits and pieces if you don't already know what it is. But to bring it back to, let's say, of the 700 episodes, I happen to know for a fact 200 or 250 are rock star in the back of the house. they all know exactly what their mission is. There isn't one of them that's like, kind of just do it. No. No, they know why. And they communicate it. It's enunciated. It's not a feeling. It starts as a feeling, and then it gets enunciated. And then the brand is built on it. And then the marketing, what's the word I want? Expresses it. Okay? All right. Second thing. You're going to love this one. Systems. It's systems and processes. I know, everybody's like, stop, I don't want to hear it. Can you just go back to something fun? It's brutal. I am not a systems girl. I promise you, I am not a systems girl. I am now. But if I had ever the opportunity to start a business that my husband wasn't right there, literally cracking the whip, no. It would have taken me 10 years to get out of my own way. I know it. I absolutely know it. Because I am the cowboy. I'm like, hey, whatever. You know, show up today. It sounds like, we got video, we got cameras. I'm like, what? You know, like, wait a minute. You know, he's like, it was all in the email. I'm like, I don't read emails. I don't. Other people read them. And he's like, well, didn't they tell you? I'm like, no, they probably figured I wouldn't care. And I don't. It's great. Thank you. But I mean, you know, like the point is that imagine me. I'm 20 years old. I start working for my husband. He opened Window Works, I guess, 8 months before I was working there. And no, I'm not only a cowboy by nature, but I'm 20. Like I'm a dummy. You know what I mean? And he just says, sell. I'm like, I can do that. Give me the business cards, give me the samples, point me in the direction, I'm off to the races. But what do you do after you sell everything? Oh, you mean you gotta order it? Like you gotta write it up? Somebody else has to know what you sold? Nah. So, first 5-8 years of our business, Luann, that's not what we do after you sell an order. Luann, that's not what you do when an order comes in. Luann, that's not what we do when this happens. And I'm like, dude, just do this shit. You know what I mean? Like, right? So, I learned the hard way, trial and error, but I also learned the easy way, having a great example next to me pushing me to do it. And what happened is when you do embrace the systems and you take them out of your head and you we put them on paper. Now I suggest maybe a sauna or Monday morning or something crazy pants like that, right? But when you do that and you follow it, that's how you start to deliver a client experience. And that's how you start to create a reputation. And that's how you also start to make some big coin. Because you now become reliable. It is the #1 byproduct of systems, that you are reliable, that somebody can give you $250,000 as a deposit on furniture that you run right into East End Interiors and place all of your orders, and you know you're going to do it. You're not like waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning going, wait, did I order the sofas? Oh, man, did I call the carpenter? Oh, whoa. Did I tell Luann that there needs to be trim on the drape? No, ma'am, you didn't, okay? I'm going to tell you right now, you didn't. And you sent me the PO that was 3 versions ago? And every time it happens, I swear to God, I stand there in the office and I say, you know, we should teach this designer a lesson and execute this PO. I'm just saying, okay? I never do, though. That's my inside voice. See, my inside voice is like, this is ridiculous. My outside voice is, hi, Sally, how are you? We got your PO today, and you have on here 4 Roman shades and a drape. Didn't you change that to 5 drapes? Yes, did my assistant send the wrong one? Uh-huh. Stop. Come on. You use that line too. What did that Catherine do? But there's no system in that house. Okay? And when you have systems, and I said, you build a reputation, you build in reliability into your business. And you build that reputation. And who is the reputation being built with? Yes, your consumer. But your vendors too. East End Interiors. The other vendors you use, Window Works. Okay? Because I'm going to tell you what happens. Just like I know, Sal and Enza know too. Who's organized and who's not. Serious, right? And what happens is think about, you guys have clients that never answer your emails, that never, sign off on the crap. And then all of a sudden, there's the tile all being installed. They're like, I didn't want that decor right there. And you're like, yeah, you did, sweetie. You say, I have all the paperwork. You know the client that doesn't pay attention. And then like we call it at Window Works, we're like, listen to me, sweetie. This is inside voice. Listen to me, sweetie. You can't be loosey-goosey on the front end and loosey-goosey on the back, and then tighty-whitey or whatever on the back end. It's tighten it up on both sides or shut up. That's what it is. That's inside voice. Outside voice is, I think the next time we do a project, maybe it would be beneficial for all of us if we review the entire PO before you give me your money. Okay? All right. So, but when you do this and you do your systems and you get them out of your head and you put them on paper or you put them in Asana or you put them in Trello, I don't care if you put them on a star, okay? Put them outside, multiple benefits come. Multiple benefits. I told you, reliability. You actually know that what you just told Mrs. Smith is going to happen. Mrs. Smith, thank you for your $500,000. Now I'm going to call a contractor. Now I'm going to sit down with these then. Now I'm going to go call the painter. Now I'm going to do this. Now you know it's going to happen because it's all like there and Asana is telling you, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. Okay? One benefit. Second benefit I mentioned, reputation. Within clients and trades, gold. Okay? Because every one of us is going to have a big mistake. Every one of us in our business. I mean, who has never made a big mistake in their business? Stop, right? Okay? But when you work with your trades and look, none of us are perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. There isn't a single person on the planet that's perfect. But we all know the difference between somebody that works towards perfection, that actively has their systems locked down. And what happens is, like, this happened to us about a year, wasn't about a year ago, because about a year ago was like a minute ago. So it was probably 2 years ago, because everything feels like whatever, right? But I remember this one designer who we know to be very organized. Okay? This is this particular man's reputation with us. Unusual for crazy crap to happen. Well, big install, yada, yada, has to have the day. We have to move things around, blah, blah, blah. Well, we get to the building in New York City, which I'm sorry, that's a big deal to send installers into New York City. $9 million for Easy Pass, $60,000 in tickets. It's like all the things, okay? And we get there, and it's this little-known Jewish holiday, and the building is closed. No, that's not a fun day. That is not a fun day. Because, by the time they got all the way to the city and unloaded and got to the freight elevator and we couldn't get in, and by the time we get all the way back to Jersey and we call somebody else, it's a wasted day. I'm paying 2 sets of eyeballs for this day. Not to mention the $4 billion in Easy Pass and parking tickets. Okay? Now, here's what happens. If you are a designer that I know to be pretty good, I'm not happy. But I get it. You got a lot on your mind. You dropped the ball. But if you're that guy or girl that every 22 seconds, like the PO is wrong and this is wrong and now you cost me hundreds of dollars, no. See, now what happens is there goes a thing out through Window Works. Payment, double check, this, that. Like we put all kinds of gates on you. No, you just don't like, hey, can we have installation on Thursday? Oh, I have to cancel things. I need you to do it. No, see, that's done. That's done. No, next out of the lane. Okay? So, understand, you're building your credibility everywhere, and it matters. Okay? The other thing that happens when you have really good systems, and what I've learned from the best of the best on the show, is that whether you're a solo or you want to scale, if you're a solo, you can go on vacation because the stuff is locked down. If you're working towards building a business, whether you just want to onboard one person or 10, whatever your goal is, here's the manual, sweetie. I'm going to walk you through it once, how to do this, and then the next time, open the book or open the Asana. Work it out. Figure it out. There's nothing worse. There's nothing worse than having a new hire and all day long. How many people have ever had this feeling like, are they busy? Are they doing anything? Oh my God, I got to stop what I'm doing. I got to go give them something to do. Oh my God, I got to explain to them 16,000 times how to log the fabric in. It's like, oh my God. Okay? So now it's like, here's the book. Here's the book. Here's the book. So, and the other reason why I like systems, if you're scaling, is like at WindowWorks, we call it the WindowWorks way. I'm sorry, I've spent my entire life creating a brand, a reputation, a way we do business in our community. Don't you come in, little upstarter, and mess around with that. You don't answer the phone your way. You don't drive up to the appointment your way. You don't do anything your way. It's my way. It works. We worked really hard to build it. And even more so in the age of social, right? The way you show up and what you do. You want everybody to show up and do the same thing. And so when you have your systems enunciated, written, and documented, then everybody does it your way, right? And then finally, it's this thing about, like for me, I call it decide to be excellent. What does all this come down to? It comes down to doing it, a decision to do it, right? Because I don't know, how many times have you gone to a talk like this? Sat at panels at markets or gone to conferences and you have notebooks full of stuff. What is it? It's some crazy number, like 10% of the people take action on it. They get all fired up. This is great. I'm going to be amazing. I'm going to change that in my business. This is awesome. Tomorrow it's like, whatever. That's too hard. I don't want to, I did it this way the last 20 years. Right? It's a decision. And so what I've found in interviewing all of these people on the show is the ones that are super successful. And I don't mean that like, $5 million firm, 20 million. I just mean personally super successful. Whether they're a solo and they put $150K in their personal pocket every year and that's super successful, or they run a team of 10 like Laura Yu and Marie Flanagan, or Kate O'Hara, team of 25. It's what is successful for you, right? But here's the thing. They do the thing. That's it. Like Nike said, just do it for a reason. Just do it. Just do it. But you need a plan to do it, right? You can't just that lady yelled at me and said, just do it. You got to figure out where your gaps are. Where are your gaps? And start with just one little thing. Just start with one little thing. How many times, my goodness, what is it on the podcast? I'm either talking about restaurants or marathons, right? These are my two major analogies, right? But it's so true though, right? Like if you're going to run a marathon, going to all of the talks and reading all of the books and listening to all the podcasts and doing all the things and stopping there is like heading out to Lululemon, and I'm going to get my little running outfit, and I'm going to go over to Dick's, and I'm going to get my sneakers, and I look fine. I look fine. I look like, wait till I go out running in my neighborhood in this. but it never comes out, right? It just goes, it's hanging on the treadmill. That's all the going and the writing and not taking the next step, okay? Then you have the person that's like, I'm running that marathon. I'm doing it. First day, 7 miles, out the door, 7 miles. Next day, I cannot walk. It's not happening. I don't know what I'm going to do. It takes you 3 weeks. By the time you recover from it, hell with it. Who wanted to run a marathon anyway? What's the big deal? Okay? The sweet spot is day 1, I run 1 mile. Day 2, I run 1 mile. Day 3, I rest. I drink wine. I pat myself on the back. Yay. Day 4, I run 2 miles. And then 26 weeks later, you run 26 miles. So your days, your weeks, your months are going to go by. We can do this again next year. Be interesting to see how many people took some action. You're all sitting here right now with just one thing at minimum that you're like, I should really do that in my business. I should. I've been thinking about it forever, and I'm doing it. I wonder how many will. I hope all of you will. I hope all of you will. Okay? Because you can. You totally can. Take one thing. Run 1 mile. If that one thing takes you 3 weeks to do it, guess what? I don't know. Hit me up on Instagram in 3 weeks. I'm still going to be there. You're going to be there. Like the 3 weeks are going to pass. Did you do something or not? There's no time limit on it. That's the cool thing. There's no time limit on it. You can get better from today. Today. Any improvement you make in your business, none of us are going to go, she didn't do that last year. I'm just going to tell you. No, last year she didn't know how to do that. Right? We go forward from today. So take a thing and then check it off. Put a thing, make it tangible. I am going to define my mission. I'm going to define it. And then I'm going to define it so clearly that when I meet somebody at my kids' PTA or my granddaughter's, preschool, and somebody says, what do? It rolls off my tongue. Oh, I'm an interior designer and I'm just passionately attached to it because of this experience that I had with my daughter when she was a little kid. And the environment just literally was such a positive experience on the outcome of her health. And now I just love designing spaces for people and places to get well in. Like, does that sound like, I'm sorry, we're just at a PTA meeting, shut up? No, it's you're so, I'm not even passionate about it, and I can make myself sound passionate about it. What if I really was, right? So do something and put a deadline on it. In 3 weeks, I'm going to have this down. And then, pick a different thing. At WindowWorks, one of the reasons, so there's 2 reasons for WindowWorks is it's serendipity and it's the Vincennes. It's 2 things for the success, okay? The serendipity is that we actually started as a franchise. My husband's very best friend started WindowWorks in Florida in 1977. Or 78. And he had 10 franchises up in Florida, and he's like, hey, Vin, this thing's going pretty good. You should get one of them up in New Jersey, right? And so he's like, oh, really? And, Vinny makes me, look like I am on downers. Because at that point, Vinny had 2 health clubs. He had a full-time job as a probation officer in Newark, New Jersey. No joke, okay? And he's like, that franchise thing's working? Yeah, I'm going to get me one of those. Okay, so he goes into and opens a WindowWorks franchise, okay? So the thing is, because it was a franchise, legally they had to deliver the how-to manual. You can't just be like, well, we'll tell you next week. It's like, no, we give you the money, you give us the manual, okay? And so our systems are based on that manual. But here's the funny thing. I do all this chatter on the show about have it all enunciated and have it all duplicated. And I'm like, ours are from 1978. It doesn't even mention computers in our manual. There weren't even answering machines. It's ridiculous. I am really 110 years old, okay? So not this year, 2020, I'm like, that's it. We're making, well, here's the thing. It wasn't that's it, we're putting this digital. It was just that's it, we're revising it to include words like computer and fax and answering machine, okay? And so I'm sitting here looking at this manual that's 2.5 inches thick. And I'm just like, I'm like what you are if you don't have the manual. I'm feeling just as you have got to be kidding me, Willis, with this. I'm just like, why did I say I would do this? And why did I announce it at our kickoff meeting with our entire team as the goal that Luann would put on her plate as a gift to all of you, my lovely employees? I'm like, why did I give myself a to-do? Like, what happened with that? So here I am. And it was just as onerous, even though I'm revising. Because A, we have perfected and changed so many systems along the way. Because how do you get a new system? You have a new mistake, right? You have a new mistake, and you're like, dang. All right. And if you're smart, whenever you have a mistake, you literally go, what I say to my team is, wind it back. How could we have avoided it? Okay? Sometimes you wind it back to one person. So sometimes I wind it right back to my showroom admin. I'm like, oh, I told you to do it this way. That's not working. It just resulted in this. We're changing it. Sometimes we have to wind it back to like lots of places. And you're like, finally, ultimately, on the sale, the salesperson put this expectation out and blah, blah, blah. So now I have to have a meeting with the sales rep, right? Anyway, so just because we had the systems didn't make it any easier. So if you don't even have it and it's all still up here in your head, I'm not telling you it's easy. But what I did was, I literally was just like, okay, every Monday, 1.5 hours. That's it. Non-negotiable. Every Monday I'm spending 1.5 hours. Now, I am the cowboy, so I couldn't even say what 1.5 hours. Like, that would be like, I would start to get a rash. Oh my God, wait, at 9:25 I have to do it? No, I don't want to do it at 9:25. I'll do it at 10:02. No. Like, and I have to tell you, the first Monday, it was like 4 o'clock. I'm like, dang it. I haven't done it yet. But see, I told my whole team I was doing this. Accountability. Build it in. And I can't stand there and look at all the things that we told them and agreed with them they were going to do. And Luann's like, well, not for me. Doesn't count for me. So what I learned the hard way, always, is the first 2 or 3 Mondays, it was 4 o'clock, it was 4:30, it was 5 o'clock, it's 6:30, Vinny's going, are we going to dinner? I'm like, not yet. I got to do a process. Not yet. And then finally, you know, hard head, by the 4th or 5th Monday, I'm like, okay, maybe you want to do this at 1 o'clock when you have a little brain cells left and just get it done. Okay, so sales meeting, team meeting in the morning, sales meeting, break, systems. And here's the other thing about it. Some systems are harder than others to enunciate. Think about, like your reveal install. Whoa. Like my brain fries at what you go through to organize a reveal install. And that's just the logistics of it. And then all of a sudden you've got the strawberries and the champagne and all the pretty stuff too. Like the nice, it's beyond comprehension for me. So on certain days, I would say, oh, you know, this is the system I'm going to do today. And then I'd be like, no, sweet Jesus, it certainly is not. Today I'm going to write the system for what happens when it's snowing. Yeah, that's the system. Because it'll take me 20 minutes and I'm out. Okay? But here's the funny thing. Do you know why we needed a system for when it snows? Because I had an employee from 45 minutes away left their house to get to Window Works on a snowy day, and I'm going at 8:30. Hey guys, everybody stay home. We'll open at 11. And here he comes like, I'm 10 minutes away. I left an hour and a half ago so I could get there on time. I'm like, oh, we need a system for snow days, right? So now the system is simple, but it's showroom coordinator. Takes a copy of the schedule for all installers, all salespeople. No one leaves their house until Luann says go time. Stay home until she says go. She might say go see you at 9. She might say go see you at 11. But don't leave. And if you get there an hour later because you live an hour further away, I get it. Right? So it's like a tiny little system, but I got 15 employees. They need to know the system. That helps you scale. And then other days I tackled the big systems. So I'm telling you, it can be done. It took me 8 months of Mondays. 8 months of Mondays. But guess what? It's a year and a half later and it's done for the next, 40 years. Somebody else will have to put it to digital, not me, okay? So the thing is, it's this decision. And it is also, I talk a lot about inside voice, outside voice, okay? So I know that you all, right now, every single one of you, have an inside voice, maybe not the sassy, crazy one like mine, right? But you have an inside voice that exactly knows at least some of the gaps in your business. Absolutely knows what your superpowers are and what your gaps are. Listen to your own inner voice. You don't need somebody else to tell you. Okay? You're a big grown-up person. You can look in the mirror and just go, this is the thing. This is the thing I got to work on. And here's the thing. When you come out the other side, you're going to feel like a rock star. It's going to be awesome. You're going to be like, I did that hard thing. And now every time you go to do it after that, it's not hard anymore. Right? Because you own it. It's yours. You conquered that you-know-what. And I want to say to you, you don't need to listen to the podcast, but I thank you for doing it. You don't need to read the books, but I am grateful that you do. You have it in you. You know what you need to do. You know what you're really good at, and you know where you need to lean in to let all of us know that really cool place that you're really good at. And you know what you have to do. It's here. It's in you. And if you do it and you take action on it, you will be one of those 200 out of the 700 that really has a well-designed business. That's the truth. Okay? So, do you have any questions for me? So she's asking, what made me decide to do the podcast? Okay, so it's really funny because there are 9,000 things. Like, you listen to the show, you know I'm the person that's like all the synchronicities. This happened, that had nothing to do with anything else, and then this happened, that had nothing to do with anything else, and then this happened, and all of a sudden I was like, I should do a podcast. Okay? So, to try and condense it is, I guess it's about 10 years ago, and I'm going to be 50, and my husband is like 65. And he, he's probably like 63 then, right? So he's 73 now, right? So, but we're all like, are we really going to carry blinds up to somebody's house every single day? Like, this is getting a little old. Like, you got to be kidding me. And we're literally focusing on the fact that the only way we make money is if we show up and ring Sally Smith's door. Okay? And so I start to figure out we need a plan B. Like, I'm not selling blinds the rest of my life. I never wanted to sell them to begin with. And it's over. It's ran its course. It's done. Okay? And thankfully we sell a little bit more than blinds. But you get my point. Okay? And so 10 years ago, I start to just on my radar, what's going to be my retirement business? Because, you see, I don't see being retired, actually. Like I don't know what I would do retired. I would probably become a psychopath and kill somebody. I don't know what I would do. Okay? So I'm always looking. What am I doing? And blah, 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 blah. So that's one little thing. What's the next chapter? How can we still make money? Because here's my agreement with my husband. He's older than me, and he always said, when I retire, you retire. And I'm like, oh, that's cute, sweetie. That's really cute. It's not happening. And I said to him, unless you're so darn wealthy, I can do anything I want. Okay? You have to have sick money. You have to have stupid, sick money. That means I can get up and I could say, Saturday, we're going to Paris. You know what I mean? And you know what? I can get to Paris and say, never mind, let's go to Croatia. Like, that kind of money, buddy, I'll retire. But here's the thing. I'm not going to be retired and not do the things I want to do when I'm perfectly capable of making money. Like, I'm not interested in being on a budget. Look at me. I'm not even a girl that spends money on anything. But I like to do things, and I want to be free. That's my thing. I want to be able to do what I want to do. So I'm not going to be hand shackled when I'm capable of making money. So that was a big stick point in our lives right there. So I'm like, okay, you got to figure out a way to have a business and industry that's not geography centric. That's one thing. Then 9,000 other things happened. But another thing happened was I was spending the summer of 2016. My daughter, Christy, who has not launched her podcast a couple of weeks ago, if you heard about it, says the therapy sessions we didn't know we needed. Yeah, so she at that time, we're going back to 2016, she's a really talented writer and funny. And she had a blog that I made her do in college because I'm like, lady, you're driving me crazy, complaining about everything, go write about it, okay? So she started this blog, it was amazing. And now she's like out in her first job, and in her first job, she hates it. I'm like, aw, that's so cute. Cry me a river, lady. Cry me a river, okay? So I'm saying to her, all right, let's do this thing. Let's blow your blog up. Let's do all the thing. Now, I'm not in podcasting. I'm, selling blinds and drapes every day. So she's like, I said, you should blow the blog up. I'm telling you, it's great. You got 2 years of content, you blah, blah, blah. Doesn't do it. Talks, doesn't walk. So finally, 15th time she's complaining to me about the corporate job she has. And I'm like, okay, sweetie. It's time to, or get off the pot. Like, it's enough. You need to find somebody else to complain to because I'm done. Because I told you, you got something here. Go make it a business. I was really mean. I really was. A lot meaner than that. And then, the next day, she's telling my husband, Mommy, yelled at me. She's a grown woman. I'm like, stop. I yelled at a grown woman. I'm like, she's whining. So I finally said to her, I'll tell you what. I'll do all the research. I'll figure out how to do it. You got to do it, though. She goes, oh, you're going to be my momager. I'm like, I'll be your momager. Let's do it. So now I spend that whole summer researching social media, blogging, blah, blah, blah. And, podcasting is there. I'm like, what the hell, man? And now I had been listening to podcasts, but never occurred to me to start one. Like, who starts a podcast? That's insanity. But when I'm doing all this research, this came up on Harrow. A podcast was looking for an entrepreneur that had to be over the $1 million threshold and wanted to be interviewed on their principles for success. And I'm like, the hell with Christy, I'm doing that interview. I'm like, I'll do that. That'll be fun. Why not? That'll be just cool. So I do this podcast interview, honest to God. Skype, sorry, no idea. I bought 9,000 credits on Skype. It's free. It's still sitting there, my Skype credits. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, right? But I'm sitting at my dining room table. Lady calls me up. We go through the whole thing. I do the interview. It's 30 minutes, short and sweet. And she goes, okay, bye, Luann, thanks. And she hung up, and I went, oh, sweet Jesus. I need one of those. That is my sweet spot. I'm like, I have to have a podcast. So now I spend the next 3 months researching podcasts. What the hell is a podcast anyway, and how do you do it? Okay? And then, but that was July. By October, I had the whole vision, sat down with the Vin man. I'm like, okay, dude. This podcast thing I've been talking about, I'm ready. I got the business plan. And he's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, I'm going to need your undivided attention on Saturday. No football games, no this, no that, no phone, undivided. Okay. We sit down. I'd say, all right, so let's talk. He goes, all right, you're going to really have to tell me for real, what is a podcast? I'm like, okay, here's what it is. It's like Netflix for radio. Oh, I got that. Okay. Then I told him my business plan, and we decided to risk it. And we decided to do it. And that's actually the longest version of the short story. There's 16 other things that went into it, but then from there, it was, what am I going to podcast about? And that was the whole mission. That was my mission journey. You see? Because I knew I could talk. You can design, but who was going to listen to me? What was I going to talk about that you would care about? And here was my thing. I knew after I started my, write everything down that I'm good at, write everything down that I'm bad at, write everything down that I hate to do, everything down that I love to do. And I'm talking everything. You like to run, you like to swim, you like to, play Scrabble, you like to do Sunday course report. I'm writing everything down. And then you're just looking at, where is it in here? And what happened was, I knew pretty quickly that I could talk on business, that here's what it was. I knew pretty quickly I could get up every day and talk on business. But, when you search business podcasts in iTunes, I don't know, out of the 1 million, do 498,000 pop up? So then what? I had to niche it down. So then I went back to, what am I good at? What do I know? Oh, I don't know. I just spent, 35 years in the home furnishings industry, and who are the number one people that have no idea how to run their business? I'm sorry, you guys popped right out. Bang! I legitimately was always in the elevator, coming down from a job. Hey, Luann, what do you think about this? Hey, Luann, I did this, it didn't work. And I loved it. So I niched all the way down. Like we talk about on the show, don't be afraid to niche all the way down. You find your people, right? If I had started a business podcast 5 years ago, a well-designed business, any entrepreneur that wants to be successful, you wouldn't know who I am. You wouldn't have searched it. You wouldn't have found it. I would have been going up against, I don't know, Tony Robbins. I'm sorry, if you could get Tony here, are you having me? No, right? So it is all, I'm telling you, I've lived what I tell you to do, right?
Have designers talked to you about changing their process? Because they're telling us we're going to be in this for at least a whole nother year. Have designers said that to you, or do you recommend that?
Well, I can't say that we've had the conversation point blank, right? But what I would tell you is, again, boots on the ground at WindowWorks. The biggest change is the setting of the expectations at the front, and not pretending something that you want to happen and you know darn well it's not going to happen. I have these conversations in my sales meetings every week with my 3 salespeople. And honestly, not that it's easy to look at somebody and say, oh, that's the sofa you love. It's going to come in 25 weeks. Yay. That's really? Am I going to be alive in 25 weeks? That's insane, right? So I know that's hard to do, but take yourself to my salespeople that sell awnings. So we sell this awning called a Genius. We've got it on the Wythe Hotel. We've got it on the Four. I always say the Four Hands Hotel, but that's the furniture company, right? So it's the Four something in Manhattan, some hotel there. And every time at a meeting, Kim goes, that's furniture, Lou, not the hotel. I don't know what the hotel is, Four something. But we do these major structures at like this place, by the way, didn't have to have a tent if they had our retractable Genius, okay? And it would probably cost, I don't know, for the Genius this size to do all this, 150, 200K. So maybe I go and I speak to the guys that own this restaurant, and I'm like, hey, guys, when it's a beautiful day, you can retract this. People don't have to be sitting under the tent. They can, and you don't have to worry about it blowing down and all the things. That's awesome. I want one. When can I have it? December? That's hard. That's hard. And so my salespeople were like, I can't tell somebody in, June that they're not getting an awning until October. And I'm like, look at my eyeballs, buddy. You better. Okay? Because I'm the chief complaint officer, and when they tell me that you said in June 6 weeks, I'm going to kick your butt. Okay? So that's what I would do. It's like you just must be willing to have the hard conversation. And the thing is, there's a way to frame the conversation that is you being the steward of the project and you being the, I know, okay? It's, listen, I need to make you understand something here really clearly. Your room's going to get done. The time is going to pass. It's going to be a beautiful room. 2 years ago, we would have done this in 12 weeks. Now it's going to take 8 months. And in the 7th month, guess what? I might call you and say it's going to be 3 more months. That's how it is right now. I'm sorry. I'm not in charge of pandemics. Now, that's inside voice. You don't say that part. But it is just being very, practice it and practice being the leader in the conversation. And you're not surprised. I need you to understand. Here's my favorite line. In my experience. Who can debate that? In my experience. You're going to look at me and say that's not true? I'm sorry, sweetie. It's my experience. Remember? I said in my experience. Right? So in my experience, I've had this conversation with many clients over the last 18 months. We talk about the delays. We talk about the things that happen. And then we talk about the things that we had no idea were going to happen, like when a big boat gets stuck in a canal. Okay? And you know what? In my experience, at this point, when it's exciting and you're picturing your new home and you're picturing the rooms and all the furniture that we're going to put in here, you're just going, oh, yeah, it's okay. I get it. It's a pandemic. But in my experience, in about 4 or 5 months, you're going to be like the exorcist lady, and your head's going to be spinning. And depending on who you are, that might not be what you say. But if you're me, I'm going to say it, okay? And I'm going to take you back to this moment. And you're going to be frustrated, and I'm going to have compassion for you, and it's going to really be hard. But I'm going to take you back to this moment where I told you this would be the case. And I'm going to ask you to understand that I'm leading you through this project. This is not my first cowboy, not my first rodeo. We're going to get through it. And I'm doing all the things on the back end because I'm reliable. And I've got it locked down. So, do you want to have a new room in like a year and a half? Let's go. Right? It's like, don't be afraid to say what you know is true. You see? It's like the maitre d'. When you go up and they're like, oh, can we have a table for two? Yeah, when? Oh, about 20 minutes. Right. Okay, 25 minutes. Where's, oh, not yet. Not yet. You know, if they told you 45 minutes, you'd go get trash at the bar and have a good time. But when they tell you 10 minutes, you're like this, I'm sorry, I'm starving. I'm starving. What the hell? Right? So it's expectations. I would tell you that's the one thing I would do. And I would make sure that I'm working with vendor partners that do the same thing, that tell me the truth. I know these guys do. Okay? You know what I mean? That they help me be the leader in the conversation because they're not pretending to me stuff that's not true. We're all on the same team. Okay? That's a big thing. I hope you guys, you're clients of East End, so I'm sure this is well, you know, copacetic. But there is nothing worse than working with an interior designer that is like, it's you against them. That's like, come on, we're in this together. You guys make us crazy, but we're in it with you. You know what I'm saying?
How would you advise a designer to vet a client before going out to their house?
All right, we got dinner coming. I think that, you know, I have to tell you, it does start with really being very clear on your superpower, your mission, why are you doing it? Because, look, I understand not everybody here has websites and stuff like that. But if you do, that is usually the first touch point. That even if, you know, you do Sally Smith's house and she tells her best friend, Susie's still going to go look at your website. Like, that's just the truth of it. Right? And so if your website starts to call out what it is and how you work. So a perfect example is there are some designers that we've interviewed over the years in the podcast that come from finance background, or like I'm thinking like Erica Ward. You know, her background was managing multi-million-dollar construction projects or property development projects. Well, I mean, I'm sorry. You just don't be like, oh, I forgot to order all the like steel I-beams for this building. Like, that's sort of, you know, a pretty big, you got to lock it down job. And so what happens is she talks about that on her website. And then she should, and I'm sure she does, she sprinkles it into her conversation. Now, she's Erica Ward at this point. She probably doesn't have to do all that. But in the beginning, she did. And the thing what I want to say to you is that that's going to attract different types of, it's going to create different types of reactions. So for me, no detail girl, none whatsoever. I'm going to be like, oh, good. I can just give money and you can make it happen. Like, you're going to make it happen. And then, you know, you have other like engineers who are bean counters. And I'm like, oh, that's good. But then other people are like, but is it going to be easy and breezy enough? Like, are we going to shop together? Like, you know, there's going to be somebody that's like, oh, my God, she ran multi-million-dollar buildings? That's not my lady. So there's all examples about that. The point is that you start there by letting them weed themselves out. I don't like that. That's crazy. I don't like that. That's crazy. I love that. I want that. Okay? Then it's the conversation. Again, when you have your introductory phone calls, if you won't do something, I don't know, let's call the reveal install again. It's the only way you'll work. Well, don't surprise them at the 17th month of the order. Like, this is it, lady. Your stuff is going to sit at a receiver. And now that's probably not a good example anymore, right? Because now we're delivering them anything. Just, here's the silverware. I did something, right? But you know what I'm saying. My point is it's really always being truthful. This is how I do it. This is why I do it. This is why it works. This is my philosophy. You don't like it? Oh, that's okay. Call my friend. She doesn't do it this way. So, and then you can't ignore your inner voice on. This is where you got to come back to your voice. She's screaming at you sometimes, right? And I will tell you this. I'm not active in the Facebook groups unless somebody tags me. Right? So Veronica Solomon's group, Claire Jeffords' group, Cheryl Clennonden's group, Nancy Ganskaufer's group. These women are knowledgeable women. So if you ask a question in that group, I'm not answering it. That's their role. You tag me, okay, right? You know my opinion, okay. But I'm in there and I read them almost every day. Because you're my target client. I need to know what's driving you crazy at night, right? So the thing is, one of the things that I think is the toughest thing for me to see is the knee-jerk reaction, fire that client. Oh, this is why clients did, blah, 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 and there's like 20 people. Fire them, get rid of them, run away, red flag. Like, just take a moment. Sometimes what the person is saying isn't what, we don't know what you do. We don't understand it. Sometimes we just need to understand the process. And all I'm saying is, when you are trying to decide if you should work with a client or not, first thing is inner voice, legit. But second thing is, have you done a great job of explaining what it's like to work in your firm? And if you have, and it's still icky, then okay, run.